Kanye West, Jay-Z, a collaboration of the ages when you think about it, really. Some of the biggest names in hip-hop of all time came together in 2011 to give us Watch the Throne. A collaboration that since has been considered a bit mixed, because I think the results for a lot of people weren't as strong as they anticipated. There are people that love this album. I mean, I don't really know of many people that do outright love this, but there probably are out there, right? There probably is. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if people loved at least a few tracks from this, because, you know, how as legendary as some of them have become. But I think the whole thing, on the whole, holistically, it didn't really live up to expectations. But I'm just thinking the fact that it happened in the first place, it just makes it such a major main event in hip-hop history, pop culture really. Big names coming like this together was huge. And I think, you know, in 2011, hip-hop wasn't quite as dominant as it is now in the mainstream. It was in the 2000s. There's always been big rappers, big names having smash hits in the charts, but I just think hip-hop's really got its grasp on pop culture and music culture now. Every song has a hip-hop feature. You see massive collaborations happen all the time. Drake's on every song ever. And Watch the Throne, while looking back on it isn't as impressive as it should be, I still think is a big moment in music history. At least some of the big tracks from it. Paris, come on, man, this track still goes hard today. Loads of quotables on here. I think even though Jay-Z's whole rhyme scheme, shtick, flow thing is repetitive as hell, it's still so much fun. The minute that track comes on, you are locked in with the da-da, 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 da-da. It's always such a great moment, and while Kanye sounds wild as hell on this track, I do not know what the hell he's doing with his vocals. You just go with it because it's just so much fun. No Church in the Wild works too. You got Frank Ocean on here. Back in 2011, this guy hadn't even become the big name that he ended up being in R&B and pop R&B music, but here he is on Watch the Throne, which is kind of crazy, really. I mean, up until this point, we had Nostalgia Ultra, of course, a mixtape that I think is great, and I did do it in this series as well. If you've not watched that video, go watch it to find out more of my thoughts. But this track actually is somewhere between like Flashing Lights, Kanye, and Love Crimes, which is on that mixtape. I feel like the instrumental and the beat just really matches both of those songs and kind of combines both ideas really well. And then you got Frank singing on here. He sounds really fresh. Not the best verses, but honestly, I can't really point to many great verses on this album anyway. And again, I think big Kanye fans, big Jay-Z fans separately wouldn't ever name any of these tracks as being like, oh, this one, this verse is one of their best, because there's nothing like that here. What there also isn't a great deal of is great production choices. There's a lot of bizarre decisions, I think, on this album that just make the songs really fall flat and really sound grating at points too. There's some weird moments. Who Gonna Stop Me? Definitely the worst track here. Atrocious, this one. I can't stand this at all. The production, awful. The samples just kind of go, I can't even describe it. It's just a fucking mess. It's a mess. What is this? And then typical bars from Jay-Z, don't save it. We're getting his usual stuff about being rich and all that kind of stuff. People think it's inspiring. I think Jay-Z's great, but I wouldn't say anything he really raps generally is inspiring. He's just bragging to us. He's just telling us how much he's got. And then Kanye's voice comes through. And what is going on with his voice? The mixing on here is horrendous. And why does he sound like this and Jay-Z sounds completely ordinary? Weird track. Why did this happen? Someone tell me. While we're on the topic of weird moments as well, you've just got the bizarre track Liftoff, where something feels very off with this. You got Beyonce's feature that just sounds like it's a part of a different song. I just don't know what is going on here. She's just singing the hell off Uh, like she's just doing her usual thing with her voice, and then you've got like the production which doesn't match. You've got the verses which just they're all, there's like 3 different songs going on. It's not all like this though. There are some moments that provide some fantastic production choices that make me think, yes, this is what I wanted to hear the whole way through. And really the best moments are really gotta have it and Otis, I think, because in terms of the production and the sample choices and the way that both artists are rapping over these beats, just make for really fantastic moments. Again, not really that blown away by some of the bars. I mean, Gotta Have It's got that Ferris Bueller referencing, I just don't think really works. Just sounds a bit corny as well. I mean, I'm not going to this album really for bars. I don't think anyone is, but I would like a bit more attention to details, particularly from Kanye. I do think he is really sailing by on this one, not really putting that much effort into anything he's saying. Jay isn't great, but he's good. And I think Kanye's just somewhere below good, honestly. I don't think he's giving it very he's not great on this album. He's really not. Otis though, probably being my favorite track. I mean, in terms of what gets me going, Paris gets me going, but I think Otis is the true king of this album, because this is really where Kanye is shining in terms of his ideas and in terms of production, because the way he uses samples and finds samples and manages to just do something to them to really work their way into songs, I think is really impressive. The thing that I've said before, I think on this channel, is that Kanye is not exactly like doing anything with a lot of the samples that he brings. Often he's either speeding them up or slowing them down, and that's really generally what he does. I mean, take Touch the Sky for example. I mean, it's just a sped up move on up, like, but it works so effectively. You know, that Curtis Mayfield sped up sample makes that song, and it's so simple. And it's the same here. It's the simplicity that makes Kanye so good at this, because slowing this Otis Redding sample down makes the song. And I think the bars are better on this one as well. It's just really great. It's a really sunshine filled song that I think just works in all contexts. There's never a moment where I don't want to hear this song. And yeah, I think this might be my favourite. Now, I was critiquing Kanye a bit much before with his rapping, but actually on Murder to Excellence, he does bring some interesting ideas, talking about, like, you know, the system being used in a way that goes against black people and then causes, you know, a lot of black on black crime and just black people dying in general. I think there are some good ideas that are presented here. It probably could have gone a bit more into the specifics, because it does just feel like he's sort of just saying things in some places on this one, but I think the ideas are there, and it makes for probably one of the better lyrical arcs, like lyrical themed songs on this whole thing. Made in America is really brought home by Frank's vocals. I think the song is fine, but I think without Frank Ocean, this song could have been just pretty mediocre. And I think he really does kill it and just, you know, makes the song what it is. But then it ends on Why I Love You, and I'm just confused. I don't know, this album's really confusing. You've got such high moments, and then you've got like such low moments. This album shouldn't have been like this. Jay-Z and Kanye proved that they had such talent coming together with tracks like Otis. And then you've got this. What is this? This weird chorus thing that's just, nah. It's just not great. It doesn't tie the album up well at all. Really weak way to close things out. Again, just showing the messiness of this album. But I think overall, it's not bad. I think there are some moments that I think you really need to tidying up. I think if they made this again today, they wouldn't do some of these tracks, honestly. I could imagine there being just a way of looking back on these and going, nah, we shouldn't have done this, let's change this, make it a bit better. But who knows, actually, because Jay's not been on his A game for a lot of the 2010s, aside from 444. Kanye's not really been on his A game for the most of the 2010s, and he's dropped way more albums than Jay has. So, I don't know, maybe this was exactly what this album was meant to sound like in 2011. In 2005 or 6, maybe would have been different, but maybe this is exactly what a 2011 album should sound like from Kanye and Jay, but it's a disappointing one really because it should have been great. But that's everything from me. Don't want to talk on too long. I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what you think. What's your favourite track? What do you think of the album overall? Do you think it's better than I'm saying it is, or do you think it's worse? Thank you for watching this review, this decade later hindsight video. Do have a good day. Subscribe if you haven't already, and goodbye.